Thank you very much for taking the time to be here. I think we can all agree that this has been a historic NATO summit. Some of the folks have been covering me for a while. About a year and a half ago, when the first G7 meeting took place in England, I talked about the need for us to reconsider the makeup of NATO, how it functioned, and come up with a different strategy for NATO and how we work together. And in addition to that, we also talked about the G7 taking on additional responsibilities. Before the war started, I told Putin that if he invaded Ukraine, NATO would not only get stronger, but would get more united. And we would see democracies in the world stand up and oppose his aggression and defend the rules-based order. That's exactly what we're seeing today. This summit was about strengthening our alliance, meeting the challenges of our world as it is today, and the threats we're going to face in the future. The last time NATO drafted a new mission statement was 12 years ago. At that time, it characterized Russia as a partner, and it didn't even mention China. The world has changed a great deal since then, and NATO is changing as well. At this summit, we rallied our alliances to meet both the direct threats of Russia poses to Europe and the systemic challenges that China poses to a rules-based world order. And we've invited 2 new members to join NATO. It was a historic act, Finland and Sweden, 2 countries with a long tradition of neutrality and choosing to join NATO. Some of the American press will remember when I got a phone call from the leader of Finland saying, could he come and see me? And he came the next day and said, will you support my country joining NATO? We got on the telephone. He suggested we call the leader of Switzerland. My goodness, I'm getting really anxious here about expanding NATO. Sweden. And what happened was, we got on the phone and she asked if she could come the next day to want to talk about joining NATO. Allies across the board are stepping up, increasing defense spending. A majority of them are on track for the first time to exceed our 2% of GDP commitment that they make. They agree to spend 2% of the GDP on defense. Look, for example, Germany is committed to spending 2% going forward and announced a special fund for its military of more than $100 billion. Slovakia, Czech Republic, and the Netherlands have announced they will also meet their 2% commitments. Poland, Romania, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania are doing more than 2.5%, some as high as 3%. Together, deploying more assets and capabilities to bolster our alliances across all domains: land, air, sea, cyber, and space. We've reaffirmed that our Article 5 commitment is sacred, and an attack on one is an attack on all, and we will defend every inch of NATO territory. Every inch of NATO territory. For our part, the United States is doing exactly what I said we would do if Putin invaded. Enhance our force posture in Europe. We'll station more ships here in Spain. We're stationing more air defense in Italy and Germany. More F-35s in the United Kingdom. And to strengthen our eastern flank, new permanent headquarters for the Army 5th Corps in Poland. In addition, an additional brigade combat team position in Romania. And additional rotational deployments in the Baltic countries. Things are changing to adapt to the world as we have it today. And all of this is against the backdrop of our response to Russia's aggression and to help Ukraine defend itself. The United States is rallying the world to stand with Ukraine. Allies and partners around the globe are making significant contributions. Secretary Austin just brought together more than 50 countries, pledging new commitments. And this is a global effort to support Ukraine. Nearly 140,000 anti-tank systems, more than 600 tanks, nearly 500 artillery systems, more than 600,000 rounds of artillery ammunition, as well as advanced multiple launch rocket systems, anti-ship systems, and air defense systems. And again, the United States is leading the way. We provided Ukraine with nearly $7 billion in security assistance since I took office. The next few days, we intend to announce more than $800 million more, including new advanced Western air defense systems for Ukraine, more artillery and ammunition, counter battery radars, additional ammunition for the HIMARS multiple launch rocket systems we've already given Ukraine, and more HIMARS coming from other countries as well. We also welcome for the first time our partners in the Indo-Pacific to participate in the NATO Summit. As I indicated to Putin, his action would cause worldwide response. Bringing together democratic allies and partners from the Atlantic and the Pacific to focus on the challenges that matter to our future and to defend the rules-based order against the challenges, including from China. In the G7 in Germany, we also launched what started off to be the Build Back Better notion, but it's morphed into the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment to offer developing and middle-income countries better options to meet their urgent infrastructure needs. Because when the United States and G7 countries put skin in the game, it helps bring millions of dollars up to, before it's all over, up to possibly $1 trillion of private sector money off the sidelines. $600 billion in just the next few years. Unlike China, these projects will be done transparently and with very high standards. For example, the U.S. government just facilitated a new partnership between two American firms and the government of Angola to invest $2 billion building a significant solar project in Angola. It's a partnership to help Angola meet its climate goals and energy needs while creating new markets for American technologies and good jobs excuse me, in Angola. As you heard me say before, when I think climate, I think jobs. And the G7 also said we'd work together to take on China's abusive and coercive trade practices and rid our supply chains of products made with forced labor. We task our teams to work on the details of the price cap on Russian oil to drive down Putin's revenues without hurting Americans and others at the gas pump. We'll seek to use the funds from the tariffs on Russian goods to help Ukraine rebuild. We've committed more than $4.5 billion, more than half of that from the United States, to address food insecurity and the immediate crisis caused by the Russian war. At every step of this trip, we set down a marker of unity, determination, and deep capabilities of the democratic nations of the world to do what need be done. Putin thought he could break the transatlantic alliance. He tried to weaken us. He expected our resolve to fracture, but he's getting exactly what he did not want. He wanted the Finlandization of NATO. He got the NATOization of Finland. Let's think about this. That's what he thought. Now NATO and Sweden are closer than ever to joining, and this will occur. We're more united than ever. And with the addition of Finland and Sweden, we'll be stronger than ever. They have serious militaries, both of them. We're going to increase the NATO border by 800 miles along the Finnish-Russian border. Sweden is all in. The point is, we're meeting the goals I set out when the first G7 meeting. We're moving to a place that reflects the realities of the second quarter of the 21st century. And we're on the verge of making significant progress.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.